Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're looking at Ghaziabad. It's right there next to Delhi, often feels like just part of it, but it really has its own whole story.
Mm.
We've got this great conversation sort of distilled down, basically looking at what makes Ghaziabad, well, Ghaziabad.
Yeah, what makes it tick?
Exactly. And our mission, I guess, is to get past the usual ideas, really dig into the history, the growth, the feel of this really key part of the NCR, the National Capital Region around Delhi.
Right.
Expect some maybe surprising bits and just a good, solid understanding of why it matters.
It's always interesting, isn't it, how a city so close, like literally right next door to a huge power center like Delhi, carves out its own identity.
Yeah.
These places, like Ghaziabad, often have really compelling stories if you just, look a bit closer.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's start right at the beginning. When did it actually pop up? And the name Ghaziabad.
Right. So we had to go back to 1740.
Hmm.
It was founded by a Mughal noble, Ghaziuddin. And yeah, the original name was actually Ghaziuddinigar, directly named after him.
Ghaziabad.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And it wasn't just like a quiet little town from the start. I think I remember reading it had some involvement in the 1857 revolt.
It did, yeah. A minor role, maybe, but it was definitely part of that whole upheaval, a really key moment in Indian history, of course.
Okay, now this bit I found really fascinating. Apparently, Ghaziabad was actually like considered as a potential capital city during British rule. Is that right?
It is, yeah. It's kind of wild to think about. For a short time, its location, plus the fact it already had railways.
Right, the connectivity?
Exactly, that made it a contender. But in the end, obviously, New Delhi got the nod.
Wow.
You do wonder, though, how things might have looked different.
Totally.
Its position, even back then as this sort of link between the plains and everything else, was clearly a big deal. New Delhi maybe had more symbolic weight, sure, but Ghaziabad's potential was definitely recognized. Shows its importance as a, transit point and commercial spot from way back.
So moving forward then, what really pushed Ghaziabad into becoming this industrial powerhouse we sort of know it as today?
Well, it was a few things coming together, really. Being right next door to Delhi, that was huge, obviously.
The location, yeah.
Then you had pretty good road and, like we said, rail networks developing.
Hmm.
Made moving goods and people much easier. And critically, there was land available, space to actually build factories and expand.
Ah, okay. Land availability.
Yeah. And the first industries, like steel and ceramics, kind of made sense because the raw materials were somewhat regional, and those railways were perfect for shifting heavy stuff.
And what were those main industries at first? Steel, ceramics, you mentioned?
Yeah, initially it was more that heavy industry stuff. Steel, ceramics, electronics also became pretty big.
Right.
But more recently, the city's adapted, hasn't it? You see a lot more growth now in things like IT, logistics.
Okay, so shifting again.
Yeah, it's kind of replaced Ghaziabad, keeping pace with the national economy, pulling in skilled people from all over the NCR.
Now, when people think Ghaziabad today, some specific areas probably spring to mind. Which ones are like the most developed? What's the scene there?
Oh, yeah. You're probably thinking of places like Indirapuram, Vaishali, Kaushambi. Rajnagar Extension is another big one.
Right.
And the vibe there, it's very modern, urban, lots of high-rise apartments, big shopping malls everywhere, tons of restaurants, and the general infrastructure, roads and things, it's usually pretty decent.
So with all that building going on, what's the real estate market like? Is it crazy expensive like Delhi or Noida can be?
It's definitely been booming, yeah. But it's
Right.
different. Generally, property there is still more affordable, compared to similar places in Delhi or Noida.
Why is that, do you think? Just land costs?
Yeah, partly lower land values compared to like central Delhi or the really prime bits of Noida.
Mm-hmm.
Allows developers to build bigger projects, maybe at a slightly lower cost per apartment. And that really pulls in a younger crowd, maybe first-time buyers, professionals who want, decent space without that absolute top-tier price tag you get next door.
Mm-hmm.
Gives Ghaziabad that growing suburban feel, I think.
Connectivity is always like the number one question these days. How does Ghaziabad stack up? Getting to Delhi, getting around.
It's actually really well connected now. The Delhi Metro is a game changer, right? The red line, the blue line, they go right into Ghaziabad. Makes commuting into Delhi or other NCR spots pretty easy.
Okay.
Then you've got major roads like NH24, the Meerut Expressway, and the big one coming up is the RRTS.
Ah, the rapid rail.
Yeah, the rapid rail transit system. That's going to be huge, linking up cities with high-speed trains. Should make travel even faster.
And just getting around within Ghaziabad. Buses, autos.
Yeah, you've got a pretty standard mix. Buses, auto rickshaws, loads of e-rickshaws now too. And those feeder metro buses are quite helpful, connecting neighborhoods to the main metro stations. Helps with that last mile journey.
Right. Okay. Makes sense. What about schools and hospitals? Obviously crucial for any city. How's Ghaziabad doing there?
It's got some pretty reputable places. Schools like Delhi Public School and Indirapuram are well known. For
Mm.
higher education, you've got colleges like ADS Engineering, IMS Ghaziabad, quite a few options.
And healthcare.
Yeah, decent healthcare infrastructure too.
Yeah.
Big hospitals like Yashoda, Columbia Asia, Max. Plus, the usual network of smaller clinics and diagnostic centers. It feels pretty well covered.
So it sounds like a place you could genuinely settle down, raise a family. Is it seen as family friendly?
Oh, absolutely. I think so. You have loads of these gated societies, which gives people that sense of security.
Right, the community feel.
Yeah. And plenty of parks, shopping options that families need. Plus, being so close to Delhi just opens up even more possibilities, doesn't it? It all adds up to a pretty appealing package for families.
Okay, and when people aren't working or dealing with family stuff, what's there to do for fun? Leisure activities.
There's a growing list, actually. You've got your standard shopping malls, of course, and a really diverse food scene we should probably talk about.
Definitely.
But also green spaces like City Forest, Swarna Jayanti Park, if you like being outdoors. And then there's, bowling alleys, cinemas, laser tag places are popping up. And the cafe culture has really exploded recently. Lots more spots to just hang out.
Okay, let's talk about that shopping and food then. Any local markets or hidden gems people should check out?
Oh, for sure. For a proper local experience, Turab Nagar Market is famous, especially for ethnic wear, wedding shopping. It gets incredibly busy during wedding season.
Right.
And Gantagar, that's more of an old school market hub. You can find
Yeah.
all sorts of local goods there and some amazing street food too.
Street food. Always the best part. What kind of things are we talking about? Traditional stuff?
Yeah, you get the whole spectrum from really traditional North Indian breakfast like bedmi puri and jalebi, classic.
Yes, love bedmi puri.
Right. To, all the modern cafes and food courts in the malls. But yeah, for the real deal, exploring the street food in Old Ghaziabad is definitely worth it.
Okay, shifting focus a bit. Beyond the malls and the new developments, what's the underlying culture in Ghaziabad? Is it very traditional or is it leaning more modern?
It's a real mix, which is what makes it interesting, I think. You'll see ancient temples, mosques, gurudwaras right alongside modern gyms, fancy salons, clubs, co-working spaces now too. The younger crowd is definitely, tech savvy into modern life. But there's still this strong undercurrent of respect for tradition, for family values. It's this blend of old and new existing together.
Are there any particular landmarks that really define Ghaziabad, places people would know?
Yeah, there are several. The ISK Khan Temple is quite prominent, a big landmark. The Hindon Air Force Station is a major presence.
Right.
We mentioned City Forest as a green space. And maybe less glamorous, but historically significant, is Dasna Jail. That dates way back to colonial times.
Interesting. Has anyone famous come out of Ghaziabad? Names we might recognize?
Yeah, a few, actually. The actor Mohit Raina, he's been in quite a few popular TV shows and movies.
Oh, yeah, I know him.
He's from Ghaziabad. The journalist Punya Prasun Bajpai is another name. And there are others in, politics, sports.
Okay. And what about festivals? Is it a city that celebrates big?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Festivals are a huge deal. Diwali, Holi, Eid, Navratri. The city really lights up. Societies get decorated, there are public events, and the food, of course, is everywhere. You really feel that community spirit then.
Now, no city is perfect, right? Especially one growing so fast. What are some of the main challenges Ghaziabad faces?
Well, yeah, the usual suspects for a growing urban area. Traffic congestion can be pretty bad, especially in the older parts. Pollution is still an issue, particularly near some of the older industrial zones, though efforts are being made, definitely. And like a lot of places in this region, occasional waterlogging during heavy monsoon rains can be a problem.
Okay. But on the flip side, are there enough green spaces, places to escape the concrete?
Yeah, there are some decent options. City Forest is pretty large, offers a good chunk of green space for recreation.
Right.
Swarna Jayanti Park is another popular one. And then scattered around, you'll find smaller neighborhood parks, important for local residents, giving them walking tracks and a bit of green.
So finally, let's talk about the people. Who actually lives in Ghaziabad? What's the general demographic?
It's a real mix, like we said. A lot of working professionals drawn by the jobs in Ghaziabad itself are commuting into Delhi, Noida. Loads of students, too, at the colleges there, business families. Predominantly, I'd say it's middle and upper middle class, but it's getting much more diverse, very pan-Indian now,
Hmm.
with people moving in from all over for work and the lifestyle.
Okay. So as we sort of bring this all together, would you say Ghaziabad is underrated?
I think I would, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It doesn't always grab the headlines like Delhi or maybe even Gurgaon or Noida sometimes, but it's solid. It's growing steadily. It plays a really vital role, kind of quietly powerful, just getting on with it behind the scenes, contributing massively to the whole NCR region.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, we've seen Ghaziabad's journey from its Mughal roots through major industrial growth to becoming this modern hub with all the amenities. It's clearly way more than just Delhi's neighbor.
Absolutely.
Its nickname, the Gateway to Uttar Pradesh, really highlights how important it is for the whole national capital region.
Yeah. And it makes you think, doesn't it, about these cities that maybe aren't always the loudest or the flashiest, how crucial they are to the bigger picture, the nation's development, its cultural fabric.
Mm.
Ghaziabad, with its mix of old and new, its economic engine, its own evolving identity, it holds a lot of potential for the future.
Mm.
It kind of leaves you wondering about all the other Ghaziabads out there, the quietly powerful places shaping things in ways we might not even fully see.